From the liberal Northeast comes a lone voice of truth. Honest commentary in dishonest times. Think deeper with Juan Newsom. This is the Cure Radio Program. This is the Cure.
So Juan Newsom, Cure Radio Show. I'm here with Cat. We had yesterday a historic thrashing of the press. I mean, Trump came out and he just got savage on them. Did you see that press conference?
Absolutely. I was waiting for it all day long.
I didn't know it was going to be that good. Now, before then, I only saw like clips of like the press conferences, and him with the exchanges between him and the press. But yesterday he came out. He proceeds to play this video of them getting this thing wrong the whole time, and then he played clips of the timeline that he established of him taking measures of doing things to combat the coronavirus. So what he's basically done here, he's setting up a parallel narrative. It's kind of amazing to see because, he just really redirected that energy and went back on the attack. This guy never stays in a corner. I mean, he just battles himself out each time.
I love it. I am a boxing fan. And one thing about a real boxer, like a real brawler, is that they will get knocked down, come back through the resurrection of whatever they do in the corner, bloodied-eyed and whatever, and keep punching, keep taking the beatings, but keep punching themselves out of that corner. And that's what he did. Everyone in the media already referenced him as a major counterpuncher. So I don't know why they didn't see this coming, but they have been coming for him for the 8 weeks that he's been doing these press conferences. I watch these things religiously, and they're like 2 hours long, some of them. And he goes into incredible detail about every single thing that they're doing. He will answer every single question, even though the questions are redundant, even though the questions are targeted and pointed. And I think yesterday he got to a point where it's like, look, enough. This is what I have been doing. This is what we've been telling you we're doing. These are the conversations we've been having. So stop trying to spin it, because that's not the accurate picture. So what he did, he launched with his own little commercial about all of the inaccuracies, about all of the skewed points of view of the media, showing their hypocrisy. And some of the people who were there, and mostly, the pundits on TV, the opinions of the CNN, ABC, crews, and showed them in their own words how hypocritical and contradictory they are to the actual activities, actions, and results that Trump has taken. And then after showing them that, one reporter who he was talking to, which started the thrashing that you're referencing, one reporter came at him with the angle of like, well, how much time did this take? How many people in your administration did you use to create the video? He's trying to position it as a campaign video, which then now as a sitting president, he used I guess it was his communications department or whatever, to make a campaign video. That's basically what he was trying to say. And Trump was like, nah, this ain't a campaign video. It's just clips of you idiots going in. And I got about more. So if you really want to go there, I'm waiting for the next video to drop.
That was hilarious. I remember he told one reporter asked, well, what does getting back to normal look like? Because it seems to me that the liberals and the media and the elected officials, they're trying to hold on to this 18-month narrative.
Yeah.
And he's like, look, we're going to be back to normal soon. It's not going to be a new normal. We're going to try to get things back the way that they used to be.
Mm-hmm.
We're not going to have to go to the baseball parks and rip up every other seat.
Right.
He said, we're not going to have to sit. Look how you're sitting now. Although, I kind of like it because there's less reporters. He just went in.
He's the ultimate. He might be Puerto Rican. If you've ever heard an old Puerto Rican woman talking, they give you they drop knowledge and rip you a new one all at the same time, all in one shot. And it's like, damn, did he just really say that to them? But he goes in. He's like, you're disgraceful. You're despicable. That's why you're nobody. I'm like, oh my God. Could you imagine?
Mm-hmm.
Would any of these people speak to Obama in this manner, in the confrontation and the arguing back and forth with Trump? And I don't know why they go there, because they know that he's going to tear them up. And no matter who you are or how much your point may be valid, he makes you look like a fool to everybody else. So anything that you write, you're like, oh, that's the idiot that Trump, said whatever about. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. You tarnish your own reputation by going at him sideways.
Wow. So what is this thing about Trump's name appearing on the stimulus printed checks? I don't know.
I didn't hear that.
There's this story going around that Trump wanted his name printed on the checks. So I don't, I haven't really, to be honest, I have to cross-reference this, to be totally honest.
I don't even care. But isn't the Treasury Department the one to sign?
Yeah, it will have the Treasury Department on the check if you get a physical check. But I thought it was funny. I saw the story running a couple places. I haven't verified yet.
Yeah, people. I wouldn't put it past him. He loves his name, but it's just so crazy how they want him to have behaved a certain way retroactively. Like, you should have done this sooner. You should have known this soon. Nobody knew. Nobody knew. Nobody confirmed. Nobody even knows today. They're still trying to figure out, did this come from a bat? Did this come from a laboratory? I actually heard that the virus was being developed in that laboratory, which was 20 miles or however, whatever distance it was from the wet market where they sell the meat. Mm-hmm. And that the people who worked in the laboratory used the bat flesh, tissue, meat or whatever, and sold it as an exotic type of meat into the wet market. And that's how it happened, because they don't really get paid, anything, that somebody saw it as an opportunity. Now, I didn't verify that. Those are just one little story floating around. But this whole thing is so insane. Oh, and during the press conference, did you hear that he's stopping funding for the
research lab? Yeah, World Health Organization. Yeah.
Yes, and Fauci was right there. I was waiting for him to say something to defend his boy, because he loves World Health Organization.
Nah, we need to get out of there. I mean, it's a waste. And they've been undermining American healthcare for years. I mean, that's one of the organizations that propped up Obamacare.
Yeah.
World Health Organization. And they come out with these surveys every year, ranking healthcare, and then we're number 30 in the world when we're really
ridiculous.
When we're really number one. It's
as I can see right now, as evident by what's happening right now. Obviously,
we got the best healthcare. yeah, and they still keep saying, "Oh, South Korea did this."
China doesn't report this and that, and how our numbers are here and there. Let me tell you something about South Korea, okay? They are not a free nation. They are not like we are, okay? So you cannot compare having an open society with certain freedoms for people with dictatorships or semi-dictator communist countries. You're not talking even apples to oranges. You're not even in the same food group there, okay? So you want to go to South Korea? Go ahead. You think that they saved their people? Go right ahead. See if you could get a job. See if you could get a visa. See if you could get anything. I mean, talk about racial disparities. They want to talk about how Blacks are hit because of all this inequality and this and that. You can't find a Black person in South Korea, okay? You cannot find one. So there's no racial disparity because they don't have different races.
Yeah.
Like, oh, look at Norway. Norway got about 1% Black, if you could find them.
Yeah.
Give me a break.
Less than 1%, really.
Is what I'm saying. They're not talking about the same kind of makeup of a country and the demographics of a country. And the Democrats love a one size fits everything. Why didn't you shut down the whole country? Bitch, because Montana don't have COVID. Okay? That's why. Exactly. Why does Montana have to shut down? Because New Yorkers can't stay off the damn subway. Does that make sense to you?
But then on the flip side, Cat, they're saying, well, he doesn't have the authority to open the country back. Like, what the hell?
He had the authority to shut it down. There's certain federal programs and things that why he is the one like that can say
the airlines down.
Cruise lines, airlines. Like, I don't understand what these people. What's the beef? What's the beef? You can't do that. Okay, well then we won't send you ventilators either because we don't need to do that. How about that? Okay, then we don't need to get you vaccines. Then we don't need to get you experimental drugs either because obviously the president doesn't have the authority to do that. Is that what you want? Is this the tit for tat you want to have? I mean, come on.
People are just emotional. They're just emotional about this, and they're not thinking, and especially Black folks, not critically thinking about this. I mean, President Trump had to respond to this within a few weeks. It's not like SARS or the swine flu where there were months that were drawn out. If you go back and you look at the timeline, if you compare coronavirus and you compare SARS and you compare swine flu, those other two pandemics, there were months where the government had to respond. President Trump had less than a month to respond to this. And in December 31st, that's when they first got caught wind of it. January the 10th is when the first domestic case died. And then 10 days later, they put the travel ban on. So
listen, how fast is that? And look, think of the big picture. Who is going to shut down the whole country because one person died? I was even saying, like, unless we putting up numbers like Chicago weekend body bags, like why are we shutting things down?
That's why it's so stupid, this whole thing about the pandemic response team. Response team.
What was anybody gonna do different?
The pandemic response. I mean, first of all, they didn't get rid of the pandemic response team. They just transferred those duties somewhere. They moved that team over to another sector. Second, the pandemic response team is only as effective as the authority given to it.
Exactly.
So, it's emotional. There's a
people
huge disconnect.
Just, you know what it is? When you're afraid, you look for the boogeyman, right? Mm-hmm. If you're afraid of the dark, knowing maybe when you turn the lights on, there's nothing there, you have to rationalize your fear and anxiety. So you create a boogeyman. Mm-hmm. Why is this happening? oh, it must be because somebody didn't do what they were supposed to do to protect us. You know what I mean? But if you actually step back, which most people do not want to do, and look at the real picture, 80% of people probably already had this and had zero issues.
Yeah.
You're talking about a small percentage of people who mostly are immunodeficient, have other underlying issues, who already maybe don't even know that they were as sick as whatever, that have now become so susceptible to this. But it's almost like the argument for transgender bathrooms. Like, how many transgenders are feeling inequality in the bathroom, right? But we had a whole national discussion about it. And in this same way, how many people are being affected? Now, if you take everywhere outside of the New York tri-state area, it's really not as big of an impact as they're making it out to seem. But because New York is like the epicenter of the country, like all the news is from New York, all the shows come out from New York, it seems like it's nationwide when it's really not. And New Yorkers complain the most because they're such liberals and hate Trump. However, had he not been as aggressive early on in the situation, then there would be hundreds of thousands of people in New York. Hundreds of thousands. Because there's millions, you know?
Especially given all the travel between New York, Europe, and Asia. Are you kidding me? It'll be...
Dude, the subway alone.
You could lose like 300,000 people in New York
Easy. You ride one train, a few stops. You sit on a train for 20 minutes. One person can infect almost 300, 400, 500 people.
Yep.
From just sitting in the same train car with the person. And then those 300, 400, 500 people walk around, go to work, not symptomatic, whatever, go visit whoever they visit, chill out in people's houses. I mean, you get one kid sick at a club on a Friday where it's like 3,000 people in a club. And those 3,000 people go and explode it from New Jersey, Connecticut, all the boroughs in the city. I mean, it could have been 1,000 times worse. And it's horrible. It's horrible because the health care system was already kind of strained. So they created all these satellite offices, health offices. And they're riddled with Medicaid, Medicare, and people who are on all these social services because they are really sickly. I remember going when I was pregnant, and if you pass the floor where the social workers are, you see so many people just can't move properly, have like kidney issues, blood issues, lung issues. This is just regular. People who live in poverty and low income just regularly in their everyday have terrible health ailments.
Underlying health issues,
Yeah, horrendous. And you can see it. Most people just ignored the issue. Now it's a big deal. It's a huge deal. How you treat your body, I mean, between the drug abuse, cigarette smoking, like just all these different factors that really tear up your body and compromise your immune system is the regular way they were living. Yeah. So, I mean, it really draws attention, which is good. It draws attention to the situation. But damn, we had to have so many people dying for it to draw attention, you know? It's crazy.
This is The Cure.